नित्यानन्देश्वरसमारम्भां नित्यानन्देश्वरिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. I welcome all the devotees, disciples, Samajis, Satsangis, Sri Mahants, Mahants, Tanidars, Kotaris, sitting with us through Nityananda TV, Sadhana TV, Ara TV, two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha, cities sitting with us through two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha, Oklahoma Adinam, Toronto Adinam, Los Angeles Adinam, Kuala Lumpur Adinam, St. Louis Adinam, Melbourne Adinam, Houston Adinam, Singapore Adinam, Hyderabad Adinam, Hosur Adinam, Hong Kong, Hyderabad Guptakashi, Trinidad Tobago, Kastav Croatia, London, Bangalore North, and some more cities. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. Let me enter into today's satsang. I'll expand on 9th verse of Isavasya Upanishad. Recite along with me. Antam tama pravishanti ye avidyamupasate tatho bhuya yivate tamaha yavu vidyayam rataha antam tama pravishanti ye avidyamupasate tatho bhuya ivate tamaha yavu vidyam yam rataha. Listen, I'll read out the translation now. Those who worship avidya, the ignorance that veils the true knowledge of truth, consciousness, enter into blinding darkness characterized by the absence of perception, but into greater darkness of ignorance than that enter they who, considering themselves as scholarly and learned, are engaged in vidya, the incomplete knowledge. It should be engaged in avidya, the incomplete knowledge, acquired for vested interests, characterized by the impure perception of truth and consciousness. Listen, I'll explain step by step. Listen, I'll explain the key point in this verse directly. Now all of you have done Vakyartha Sadas for last so many days. What is consciousness? What is all-pervasiveness? What is without coming and going? What is muscleless, woundless? All these you would have done. At one point, you will feel stuck. It's natural. At that moment, if you decide, it's okay, but I'll continue to dig your living enlightenment, at that moment you think, whatever I learnt with that, let me make whatever I need in my life. Like material comforts or luxury, name and fame, it's enough. Who knows more than what I did? Leave it. Then that is avidya. Understand, listen. Only a person who practiced whatever I said can understand this explanation. But this is the most straight explanation. When you are exploring into consciousness, while you are making your brain subtler and subtler, when the subtler and subtler grooves in your brain is developing to catch consciousness, to reflect the pure consciousness as it is, how can your brain be trained and developed to catch the pure reflection of consciousness as it is? By internalizing, meditating, thinking, contemplating, debating, having vakyartha sadas. What is consciousness? What is that all-pervasive, beyond going and coming? What is that? The space, nature, action and result. What is that? Which is center of all this. What is that? Which is muzzleless and boundaryless. What is that? Which is beyond all relationships and association. What is that? When you contemplate, and I tell you, no one needs to become a believer. The contemplation on consciousness itself will make you so sure you are that consciousness. I tell you, when I had the experience of third eye awakening and able to see everything around me, it did not take more than microsecond to know I am that. What a fool that I considered this as me. Please listen. By nature, the highest thing your brain can reflect, it associates itself with that. If you think sex is the highest experience, you associate yourself with that. If you think eating is the strongest experience, you associate yourself with that. If you think Krishna is the highest experience, you feel you are Krishna. If you think Mahadeva is the highest experience, you will feel you are Mahadeva. If you think consciousness is the highest experience, you will feel you are consciousness. The subtlest grooves in your brain develops to reflect the pure consciousness as it is when you contemplate on what is consciousness as guided by the Upanishads. Upanishads are guiding you. Consciousness as no space. It is beyond the space. There is no coming and going. It is the center of space, nature, action, responsibility, result. But it is not bound by any of that. It is center of all that. I am sitting in this chair, but I am not bound to this chair. That is why this chair belongs to me. So anything you are center, but you are not bound by it, is under you, it belongs to you, and you become the center. You are the power of that. Understand, consciousness is the center of action, result, knowledge, responsibility, space, nature, everything. But it is not bound by any of that. When you are contemplating all this, you can see many of the qualities of consciousness is already permeating your life in a smaller scale. In a smaller scale. You can never be without consciousness. In a smaller scale, all that will be permeating your life. But when you contemplate deeper and deeper, it will start permeating in the higher and higher scales. More and more pure consciousness will start reflecting in your brain, in your system. Understand? A person, understand, here no compromise, no compromise, nothing can come in between you and realizing your consciousness. Nothing can come in between you and your enlightenment. That's the beauty of Hindu tradition. First we teach you to become enlightened, then we ask you to worship. That is what is Advaita Bhakti, Jnanavarishta Bhakti. Because the Advaita gives you the powerfulness and completion. After that, your bhakti, you will be overflowing with the God which you created out of your very being. You will not be standing in front of anybody and begging and praying. Prarthana should not be translated as prayer. No. No. Prarthana should not be translated as prayer. The concept we have in Agamas, the reason for worshipping, reason for doing rituals is straight from the space of Shivoham. Actually, the whole Somasambhu Pattati, which is the manual for our Sangha, please understand, Kamika Agama is the Agama for our Sangha. Somasambhu Pattati is the manual wrote based on Kamika Agama, is the manual for our Sangha. Pattati means manual. The reasons, the yes or no, right or wrong, explanations, everything logically presented to do what to do and why we should do. All this is beautifully presented based on Kamika Agama in Somasambhu Pattati. The manual very clearly says Shivoham is the purpose and the center of this manual. Means by using this manual you will achieve the Shivoham experience. After that, to radiate the Shivoham experience, continue to use that manual. That's all. So nothing can come in between you and you realizing the Shivoham experience. Advaita Anubhuti. More and more internalize. When you internalize more and more, dig out more and more, you are living enlightenment. I am telling you, if you just find the taste of internalizing, manana, vakyartha sadas, you will understand. That becomes your stronger experience. Consciousness becomes your stronger experience. You start associating yourself with that. Associating yourself with your pure consciousness is completion, meditation, dhyana, samadhi, unclutching, enlightenment. Associating yourself with consciousness, the pure consciousness, as Upanishads describe, which is verily possible, which is not somewhere far away. No. Even if you are a liar, you can achieve consciousness. Understand? Nothing can be the reason. It's abstraction, abstractly. Any amount of logic can be awakened, used inside you. Any amount of right or wrong can be awakened, and you can go on brooding over it. Please understand. Go on contemplating. Go on doing Vakyartha Sadas. Go on thinking, what is consciousness? Automatically, your brain will start catching that as you. Associate that as you. When your brain associates itself with consciousness as that itself, it will start cognizing, taking actions, decisions, everything based on that. Literally, your whole brain will lit up. Your whole heart will lit up. Your whole body will lit up. Maybe that is why it is called enlightenment. The whole thing will be lit up. Digging out more and more and more and more and more. Exploring more and more and more makes you live enlightenment. For any reason, you are stuck and does not want to move further out of your tiredness, boredom, laziness, or thinking, okay, with this I'll manage my neighbors. After all, I need to just be little more than my neighbors. That's all my life's purpose. Two liars saw a bear in the forest. One fellow started running. The other liar shouted, What do you think? By running you will be able to escape from the bear? He said, no, I just have to outrun you, that's all. Because the bear is going to be busy with you. I just have to run faster than you, that's all. But life is not like that, understand? If you are just able to excel a little more than the people around you, life doesn't end there. The tiredness and boredom which will come to you when you excelled a little more than the people around you, if you are stuck there, that is what Upanishad describes here. Antantama pravishantiye avidyamupasate tato bhuya yivate tamaha yav vidyayam rataha. Over. Over. Everything is over. Please understand. The tiredness and boredom is hellfire. With the boredom and tiredness, you can't even peacefully sleep. Understand that. You may be lying on the bed, but you will be rolling over. If you lie down on the bed after real, sincerely exhausting whatever you want to do and fall into the bed, you will be so powerful and fall asleep. But just out of boredom and tiredness, if you fall into the bed, you will be so powerless you can't even fall asleep. Falling asleep is an action as per Hindu tradition. Understand? It is not non-action. Only unclutching is non-action. Everything else is action. So for falling asleep, your buddhi need to be powerful. To work, your muscles need to be powerful. To plan, your logic needs to be powerful. For falling asleep, your buddhi need to be powerful. Understand? That is why in the West so many people suffer even to fall asleep. It's only the Vedic tradition which has a solution and answer. I am telling you, let anybody teach any religion. You can practice all that in the daytime. But if you want to fall asleep, the only religion you can practice is Hinduism, nothing else. Nothing else will teach you to fall asleep. Any amount of any size bed you can buy, any number of pills you can swallow. It's only the Vedic tradition which can give you rest or help you to fall asleep, because falling asleep is an action. It is not collapsing on the bed as you have been taught from the beginning. Your buddhi needs to be powerful. Your buddhi will be powerful whole day if you keep your body and intellect powerful. Whole day if you are acting, alive, not entertaining the boredom and tiredness, then just you can stretch your body, it will fall into samadhi. It will fall into the state of yoga nidra. If you fall asleep after the sexual act due to the pain, tiredness in the body, it is bhoga nidra. If you fall asleep after rolling in the bed for quite a long time because of that boredom and tiredness, it is roga nidra. If you fall asleep just out of the pure powerfulness of buddhi, it is yoga nidra. Understand? Entertaining boredom in your life is hellfire. You can see many days out of boredom and rejection, when you lie on your bed, you can't even fall asleep. You will be just rolling, tossing. That is hellfire. Understand? That is hellfire. Align your body and intellect straight. Make your life strong. Make yourself as much as possible useful to yourself and to the world. And continue to explore the subtle and subtle truths described by Upanishads as consciousness. Understand? Subtle and subtle truths described by Upanishads as consciousness. Actually meditating on those concepts grows an extra intra-organ in your system, what I call third eye or buddhi. You are not born with it, you have to grow it. The vegetarian food and continuous contemplation, everything used in the Shaivite lifestyle directly connects to awakening and building of buddhi. Man whose buddhi is awakened will never entertain boredom in the life. One of the biggest problems the future humanity is going to face is boredom, because no more you can make people feel excited about life with the basic needs like a food, shelter, clothes. It is available now for everyone. But humanity doesn't know how to lead ourselves to the next level. Political leaders, social leaders, religious leaders, all of them are stuck. Because you can't make people excited, keep people excited anymore. Just with this food, clothes, shelter. It's all over. I'm telling you. That is why so much of depression and boredom is settling in. All psychiatric disorder. You can give any number of names. That phobia, this phobia, that fear, this fear, depression. Any number of names you can give. Depression, suppression, whatever name you want, you can go on. This disorder, bipolar, tripolar, four-polar, six-polar, whatever name you want to give, you can do everything. But all mental disorders boils down to one word: boredom. That's all. Boredom. That's all. Nothing else. Just boredom. I tell you, my Diksha Guru, Swami Ranganathananda, at that time he was Vice President of Ramakrishna Mission. I wanted to tell this story. Later on he became president, and now he's left the body. He has attained Mahasamadhi. Once few sadhus and brahmacharis were sitting at his feet. He was not very healthy, he was very fragile. His health was very fragile, and he will just eat one or two teaspoon. That's all, teaspoon. Kind of a kanji made out of rice and few fruits. His diet was very less. We were all sitting around him. But whole day he will be always excited, joyful. Suddenly some sadhu turned the subject towards few elderly sadhus who are depressed in Arogya Bhavan of Belur Mutt. In Ramakrishna Mutt, they have a place where all the elderly sadhus, after they retire from their active life, they rest and do spiritual practices and prepare themselves for enlightenment, Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. So there were few sadhus depressed, frustrated, angry, irritated in that Arogya Bhavan. So the talk turned towards them. Beautifully, Swamiji explained, Ranganathananji explained, he said, when you are young, if you built your excitement only to the level of reading the spiritual scriptures, after your eyes have gone, you can't do that. If you built your excitement only to the level of doing japa, after a certain level, your body and mind will not have the stamina to be in alignment. Then you won't be able to do that. Only if you are able to sit with yourself, reflecting pure consciousness, you got a permanent space where you will not get into depression, bored, feeling agitated, angry, frustrated in your life. Especially this is a warning for all the sadhus, understand. For grihasthas, it's advice. For sadhus, it's a warning. Because for grihasthas, till the end, at least few people, family, somebody will be there around them. But for sadhus, it is only your ability to rest in pure consciousness which you build when your body and mind is under your control. That is the only security for your life. Only on that you can rest. That is why I insist constantly on being active without falling prey to boredom. Understand? If you build the pattern of falling prey to boredom, be very clear. You are going to have the worst hell once you retire from the active life. After retiring from the active life, life will be hell if you have not built that space of ability to sit unclutched. Still I remember that one small but very powerful word. I actually paraphrased from whatever he said because it was a long conversation with few sadhus. In that, this bit still I remember. Living your whole life as a sadhu and then end depressed, frustrated, angry, irritated, agitated, that is the worst thing. That's a solid proof you wasted your life. You are stupid. So become active now. Break this boredom pattern now. Keep your body and intellect as powerful as possible. Raise the buddhi to the next level and develop that most subtlest grooves in your brain to reflect pure consciousness powerfully. That is the only safe haven for you. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of stupid intellectuals, pandits, stuck in few words here and there they read, few techniques here and there they tried. And afterwards, nothing moves, nothing moved. They are there. Only those people are addressed by this verse, 9th verse of the Upanishads. Andandama pravishantiye avidyamubhasade tato bhuya jivate tamaha yavu vidyayam rataha. Understand. The most powerful, most important advice Upanishad wants to give you, the most powerful sacred secret Upanishad wants to reveal in this verse: do not allow boredom and tiredness. Let your body be Agni, fire. Let your mind be light, intensely alive. Let your consciousness be Swayam Prakasha, self-effulgent, always radiant. What you eat, what you do, what you speak, what you think, what you practice, everything be aligned to this one. How to reflect highest concept of consciousness in your brain. How to catch the most subtlest definition of consciousness in your brain by Upanishads. Actually, in the Shivoham process, that's all I do. Just connecting with your brain and making it grow subtler and subtler and subtler. The subtle grooves start developing. So you simply start reflecting. The concept of consciousness. That is why when the moment I say Shiva, your whole body vibrates. It means your brain is catching. There are many people heard Shiva million times in many places. Their brain doesn't catch. But in Shivoham process, the moment I utter the word Shiva, so many brains and body catches it. So the moment you catch that experience, you associate automatically yourself with it. Seeing God, experiencing God as you is not two action. It is one actually. Seeing is experiencing. The moment you see, seer and the seen and seeing will become one, then seer, seen, seer, seen, seeing, all these three merges into one, then you are called seer. Rishi. Boredom can never be justified with any reason. Spend anything in your life, do anything in your life to get into the lifestyle and place where boredom is not entertained or engaged. Boredom is never allowed. That's the one thing never allowed inside Jnanapeetham. Shivoham process is nothing but awakening those most subtle grooves in your system. Drinking Ganga, taking bath in Ganga, and going through that Shivoham process is the ultimate. In Varanasi, any water available for drinking, taking bath, everything, it's only Ganga water. Even if you do it in the hotel, it's only Ganga water. No other water. So whole 200 kilometers of Varanasi, it's only Ganga water. Even all underground water is only Ganga water. It's an amazing possibility to awaken the most subtlest grooves in your brain, to experience the pure definition of consciousness. Whoever is planning to attend the Varanasi May IA, please start watching the satsang every day. That will prepare you so much to experience Varanasi and Vishwanatha. Varanasi and Vishwanatha. So see you all in Varanasi to experience Vishwanatha with Vishwanatha. I bless you all. Let you all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Advaita, the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. Be blissful.
Nityananda Dhyanapitham, Nityananda Nagar, off Mysore Road, Bidadi, Bengaluru. Phone 08027279999. www.nityananda.org, www.youtube.com/lifeblissfoundation.